Hello, everyone, and welcome to Southern League Cavalier Football and the Mike McClure Coaches Show. I'm Mike Fowler. I'll be your host this season as we talk Cavalier football and visit each week with Cavalier coach Mike McClure. I want to thank our sponsors for helping bring you our show each Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. on 105.5 FM WFJA. Wilkinson Chevrolet, Sheriff Tracy Carter, M.R. Stoner Electric, Domino's, Carolina Firearms, and the Kendall Pawn Shop. The show will be rebroadcast at 5:30 each Friday night prior to our 6:30 game on 95.1 FM and 1050 AM WWGP. Video of the coaches show will be posted on the WFJA Facebook page each Wednesday by noon. I look forward to talking with Cavalier coach Mike McClure and bringing you exciting Southern League Cavalier football. We're going to take a short break and hear from our great sponsors, and we'll be right back with Coach McClure right after these messages.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet in their new location on Highway 87 South. Domino's with convenient locations throughout the Lee County area. M.R. Stoner Electric, residential, industrial, and commercial electricians. Sheriff Tracy Carter, proud to support high school athletics. Carolina Firearms, your full-service firearms training and gun store. Kendall Pawn Shop, buy, sell, trade. Brick Capital Video, for all special occasions. WFJA for all your sports, FM 105.5.
Welcome back to the Coach McClure Coaches Show. And just, again, we wanted to share with everyone and want to thank WFJA and all our sponsors for bringing this show to you. Again, we are safe in this little booth that we're in. We do have plexiglass in between us. So if you see anything with us not wearing masks, we're separated and got good air filters in here. So feel pretty safe in being here and be able to bring this show to you. So, again, Coach McClure, thanks for coming in and welcome back. And another big win.
Another big win. Guys came out second half, played great. We started off to a slow start on first half. We was started off a little slow. Then we finally got things rolling after coming back after halftime. So we really stepped up. We kind of settled down more at the second half.
Yeah, you really did. And what was really interesting with the you mentioned that first half, both teams came out. Western Harnett had the ball to start the game. They went right down and drove down and scored a touchdown. Cavaliers come right back, go right back down, and Daniel Bassano gets that run to put us on the board. Then it was just back and forth a little bit during that first half. We were down 16-10 at halftime, and you guys went in and made some incredible different adjustments that you made. And the Cavs came out and just took it to Western Harnett that whole second half and walked out with a 31-16 win.
Yeah, the biggest changes we kind of made was more on defensively. We settled down. If you cut on the film, if you go back, we're flying around everywhere. We're not set. We're not lined up. We're not ready to go. We just really came back second half and we just made the adjustments to just calm down. And line up and understand who has who and communicate more on defense. Offensively, we wanted to pick up the tempo a little bit, which we came out and done. But then we changed the pace a little bit. We was fast at some points and then we slowed it down, which was big. Which was big and helped us. And also we were a more disciplined football team. Mm-hmm. We can penalties we didn't get as many. Where it kind of hurt them in the long run. Those penalties that they got helped us out, and it paid off to be the more disciplined team that last week.
Yeah, very, very true. And that was interesting. We saw throughout that when they came out in the second half, and you guys didn't play bad at all in the first half, but when you came out in that second half, it was almost like a different team. And the speed seemed to pick up on the defensive side of the ball. Those guys are really after that quarterback, Tristan Ong, that set a record that night, but we got the win, and that's what. Yeah. But they really came after him that second half.
They all wanted sacks. They seen they could taste it, so they all was trying to get sacks. And like I said, we seemed like we was playing a lot slower in that first half, and I think the weather had something to do with that. It was the humidity was high, and it was really the first game that we played in warmer weather. So that really made a difference. So once we came back and got our second win, then they flew around like I knew they could.
Yeah, and there was a lot of guys stepped up. When we'll talk about that after the break about players of the game. There was a lot of guys that threw their hat, especially on that defensive side of the ball. But there was some good efforts there. Alexander Chichard, a freshman, got an interception in the game.
He did. That was a very big play. That was a very big play because they were on the way marching, and he comes in and catches that interception off the tilt pass, which was a big play. Other guys, Cam Jackson, who came in and He had 2 sacks, off the edge, flying in off the edge, two big plays, and Kendall Morris another big night for him as well.
Yeah, that was the one thing too. You mentioned the defense, not just the defense stepping up in that second half, but the offense really was like just methodical and did seem to really seem to do what they wanted to do. Especially the offensive line was opening up those holes for Kendall, and just really was able to go 3 straight drives of touchdowns and did a great job.
Yeah, it made a difference. Began to wear them down. They begin to get a little tired.
So what this coming up this week? Anything new or any adjustment players? Everybody's okay. Nobody came out of the game injured. Or anything?
We're a little banged up in the secondary a little bit. We do have a few injuries in the secondary, but it's kind of plays in our favor playing the running team this week. Not much passing going on. At least we hope not. So it kind of plays to our advantage this week.
Well, not to mention that, but you also, what more important, you go to 2-1 on the year, but you go to 1-0 in the Tri-County, get a good start to the Tri-County Conference.
That was very important. Getting that momentum. Like I said, going into week 2, we wanted to get momentum going into conference. Now that we have it, all we can do is just keep it going.
Yeah, it's going to be a good way to start the conference going to 1-0. We'll take a quick look at the schedule for this week and just talk about a little bit about last week's results. We've been talking, of course, about your Cavaliers taking down Western Harnet 31-16. It was Union Pines 10, Harnet Central 6, and a good game down there at Union Pines. And as some of you mostly have heard, the Lee County Triton game was postponed and has been moved officially to April the 5th. So that will be a game that will be played on that Monday, April 5th, prior to the game that we have against Southern Lee on that April the 9th. So maybe the Yellow Jackets will be a little tired when they come into that game. Looking at the schedule for this week in the Tri-County Conference, Lee County will go down to Union Pines to play the Vikings. We're, of course, Cavaliers are going to head across town and play the Hawks of Triton. We'll talk about that here in a little bit better. Western Harnet will be at Harnet Central, and those are your games in the Tri-County Conference. As we look forward to that play, we're going to take a quick look at the want to look really quickly at the stats for Southern Lee. In this game, there was some things that we did well. Again, you got great play from the quarterback again from Daniel Pisano, and we'll talk about him a little bit better a little bit later. But the schedule right now, the standings in the conference right now. So I can find them. Sorry about this. We're gonna go this way. I'm looking for something. My bad. Okay, here we go. So again, this is the well, let's talk more about something different. Sorry about this. So we talked again about some of the teams coming in. Everybody's okay, no injuries, and we'll get ready for this next game coming up against Triton.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing coming in. Like I said, we're a little banged up in some areas, but the biggest thing is that we still, we live by a mentality of next guy up. So everybody's always prepared. Even guys who are second and third string, they stay prepared. So it's just putting those guys in and moving forward.
Right. No, exactly. So let's take a look now at the Tri-County Conference standings really quickly. Overall, Lee County's 2-0. Southern Lee is 2-1, but most importantly, 1-0 in the conference. Union Pines is also 2-1 and 1-0 in the conference. Harnet Central is 0-3 and 0-1 in the conference. Triton, who we're going to play this week, is 0-2 and has not played a Tri-County Conference game yet. And Western Harnet is 0-3 and 0-1 in the conference. So we're going to go take another quick break and hear from our sponsors. We'll be right to talk about the Triton game and some other things right after these messages. Welcome back to the Coach Mike McClure Show. We thank you for listening. So it's time now that we do this each and every week. It's time for us to introduce our Norman Financial Group and Wwgp Players of the Game, selected by your radio crew. During the game, we have an offensive and defensive player that we pick for both of those. And this week, for the offensive side of the ball, it was really for us. We had to make this decision because it was a couple of guys we could have, but we went with sophomore running back Kendall Morris, and just a tremendous game by Kendall. Had 25 carries for 204 yards and 3 touchdowns. The touchdown runs were of 58, 10, and 34, all in the second half when the Cavaliers really put the game away.
Yeah, Kendall, he had a great night, but as we all know, running back's nothing without an offensive line. Offensive line was tremendous. They really stepped it up second half. And Kendall, once he got the ball in his hand, he kind of done the rest. And once he broke that first line of scrimmage, a lot of big runs that he had came on 4th and 1.
That's right.
So he scored 2 touchdowns on 4th and 1, which was really big plays, which was really big from him. So, like I say, his offensive line, they really put it together and made those running lanes open for him. And he had a good night.
Yeah, and the 58-yarder is the one that we were kind of chuckling as he was going down the left sideline. He almost lost the ball.
Yeah,
at about the 20-yard line, almost lost the ball. So, but he was able to corral it, and it was a great run. And again, the 34-yarder, which I think was another one that was on 4th down, where he cut back across the middle again with great blocking by the line, and was able to go up the middle and just did a great job. Great job. So congratulations. Kendall will get his certificate for being the Player of the Week, the Norman Financial Group, and Wwgp Player of the Week. So the defensive side of the ball, this was a struggle for us because we could have picked a lot of kids on this one. We had honorable mentions, and we talked a little bit about them earlier tonight. Cam Jackson was showing some speed, had a couple sacks in that second half. Josh Freeman had some great coverage plays as well on the defensive side of the ball. We mentioned the freshman, Alexander Ducharme, with an interception. It was big. But we went with junior Nasir Blue. And the reason we did it, he was all over the field. Every time we looked up, he was after the ball. There was a great play in that second half where John Wilson caught up with a quarterback or running back and knocked the ball loose, and Nasir Blue was able to recover the ball. And he's been pretty consistent in these first few weeks. And what are some things you can say about him?
He has been. Nasir, he's actually a guy who made a transition from running back. He started out playing running back, and then we reached out to him and seeing how did he feel about coming on the defensive side of the ball, and it's really a position that he's adapted to and he's taken in, and he's really beginning to like it and really becoming molded into that position. He enjoys coming off the edge, and he's so fast that a lot of guys can't block him, and he's just got a motor, and he's run from sideline to sideline like you mentioned. He'll run all day, and that fumble recovery was big on his part. He also had a sack as well, and just been productive since he's been coming in and started at that linebacker position for us.
Yeah, he did really well. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, he also came up limping one time. Was he doing all right?
He did. He did. I think it was just cramps. Like I said, the weather was a big issue, and we had a few that went down Friday night due to cramps. But for him, that's all it was just cramps.
Okay. All right. Well, now it's time to name the Wilkinson Chevrolet and Coach McClure Player of the Game for this past week against Western Harnett. And, Coach, who did you select this week for our Player of the Game?
This week we selected Daniel Pisano, and I think he's well deserving of it. I mean, he played quarterback. He scored a touchdown for us at quarterback. But not only did he play quarterback, he came in and he plays kicker and punter for us. So he was able to make a field goal as well and put the ball in some good spots on punt as well as on kickoff. So he was truly an overall player and well deserving of this award tonight.
Yeah, great selection. And as you mentioned, Daniel's having everything. He barely comes off the field a lot with the punting and the kicking and the quarterbacking that he's doing now, and just did a great job. His name will go engraved on this trophy that it will go eventually at the end of the season over to Southern Lee and be presented in the trophy case with all the players of the week. The Coach McClure and Wilkinson Chevrolet players will be part of this trophy, and then he'll also get a certificate to Bubba's Subs and Pizzas. So congratulations to Daniel on that honor for this past week against Western Harnett. So let's talk a little bit now about the Hawks of Triton, who we have coming up this week. They are 0-2 currently. They've lost their first two games to Knightdale 33-0 and to South Johnston 20-19. Of course, they had the game postponed against Lee County last week. They are averaging 186 yards on the ground in their first two games. Most of that is from their senior running back, Malachi Batts.
Yeah, they definitely have two guys running back that can really go. If you let them go, they can really go. Number 2 and number 1 are their two guys. From a defensive standpoint, the biggest thing is just stop the run. They don't want to throw the ball. Biggest thing, we're going in, we want to take away the run from them and force them to do something that they're not comfortable with doing. Defensively, for them, they're going to get a lot of man coverage from them. 3-man front, they do walk a guy down. So we'll be able to take our shots if we need to, just from the man coverage, in that regards. But we're just gonna go in with the same mentality. I tell the kids we got to put together a complete team, and normally around this time of the season is when you begin to put together a complete game. From not just a halves, halves start coming together, and now you begin to have complete games, offensively and defensively, and a full game. So that's what we're hoping. That's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, and that's exactly almost what happened in that second half last Friday. Was that it came out? You guys just did everything right and just did a great job. So going back in the history, this will be the 11th time that Triton has faced Southern Lee. The Cavaliers hold a 6-4 advantage in those first 10 games. Last time we played was back in the 2019 season, the last full season we had, and the Cavaliers were successful defeating the Hawks 30-5. So what are some of those key things you might keep in place from Western Hornet game that you'll transfer over this coming week?
Well, just like I said, keeping the thing simple on defense is what we'll go into, understanding what we have to stop, understanding what we have to do defensively, and just kind of taking that same approach that we took in the second half of just settling it down as a team. And then and offensively, we want to change the pace up, in and out. Kind of we want to be able to control the tempo of the game and have them kind of play at our will and how we want them to play by controlling the tempo of the game. And the way that our offense controls the ball and controls the tempo will determine how their offense has to play.
Right.
Like I mentioned, they want to run the ball. So if they get behind too early, then that's going to force them to do things that they normally don't do, which is pass. Yeah,
and you notice I noticed looking up some of the stats this week, their quarterbacks only got like 40 yards passing in the 2 games they played. So it will be a run-oriented team you'll face, and I know the Cavaliers will be ready for it. It's coming up. Go ahead and take another time out and hear from our great sponsors. We'll be right back after these messages.
Coach's Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet in their new location on Highway 87 South. Domino's with convenient locations throughout the Lee County area. M.R. Stoner Electric, residential, industrial, and commercial electricians. Sheriff Tracy Carter, proud to support high school athletics. Carolina Firearms, your full-service firearms training and gun store. Kendall Pawn Shop, buy, sell, trade. Brick Capital Video, for all special occasions. WFJA for all your sports, FM 105.5.
So, again, we hope you enjoyed listening to the Mike McClure Coaches Show. We remind you to join us each Tuesday night at 7:30 on 105.5 FM WFJA, and every Friday night prior to the games at 5:30 on 95.1 FM and 1050 AM WWGP for the Coaches Show, and then live pregame at 6 o'clock and kickoff at 6:30. Our Coaches Show is also posted on the WFJA Facebook page each Wednesday by noon, and we hope you will take these opportunities to join us this season for Cavalier football. We thank all of our sponsors for bringing our show tonight, and we thank you for listening to WFJA and WWGP Sports. Good night, everyone. Go Cavs.